I bumped into Joey, who used to bully me and make fun of me in junior high school, at the hospital. What the heck is Joey doing here? I looked at his name. It seems that he is working as a pharmacist in the hospital.
This hospital is not a place for you. Joey said sarcastically to me as he saw me.
Tell me why. Why? You've always been an idiot, haven't you?
Astragal is not a place for a poor guy like you. He said that and started talking about the history of this hospital, how great this hospital is. I won't say anything bad about you, so go home. This hospital is the kind of place where the best people or celebrities come. Poor people like you shouldn't come here.
Joey mocked me before he snorted.
I'm sorry, but no hospital can cure your illness. In the doors, so I'm full. There's no medicine that can cure a poor high school dropout. Now...
At that moment, I received a call on my cell phone from a nurse who was standing nearby. My name is Chris Roberts. I had undergone 3 major surgeries before I graduated from primary school. It was hard and painful, but it was worth it. And I was able to recover completely from my illness. I have traumatic memories of the surgeries, hospitalizations, medications, and other hardships I went through. But I think I was able to fight all of those because of the doctors, nurses, and others who supported me. This experience encouraged me to pursue a career in the medical field as a doctor. I think it's a wonderful thing to save someone's life. I remember feeling a huge sense of relief when my doctor gently told me that I would be just fine. I want to be someone like that. Actually, as I learned more about the profession of a doctor, my interest in it grew into a passion. After entering junior high school, I studied hard to enter medical school. Thanks to my hard study, I was able to keep my grades high. However, due to the cost of my treatment, my family was poor. And in fact, there was a possibility for me not being able to enroll in high school.
I wish I could make your dream come true, honey. But I'm sorry.
Diana, my mother said sadly. I felt as if I were thrown into a dark cave where I could see nothing at her words. But there was no use in complaining. My parents had paid a lot of medical bills just to keep me alive. But all my life, my school bag and textbooks had been second-hand things. That's how poor my family was. I was often teased and bullied by those around me because of my poverty. Whenever Joe, the main culprit, saw me, he would start to mock me.
Oh, here comes the pauper. You're still a wreck, aren't you? Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Once you dare come closer to me. I don't want to be infected by your poverty disease.
Joe made me look miserable. To be honest, I didn't care about what Joe and the others think about me. Joe did not like my attitude, and the bullying continued until graduation. After graduation, Joe and his friends went on to high school just like what everyone does. However, I gave up on high school because of my family's financial situation. Since I couldn't give up my dream of going to medical school, I decided to take the high school equivalency examination while working in order to fulfill the requirements to enroll at medical school. Thus, a year after I graduated from junior high school, I was able to pass the high school equivalency exam. But studying for the university entrance exam was not easy at all. I had to work hard all day and then study for the exam. It's too hard. It was hard enough just to find the time to study. To pass the entrance exam for medical school, which is a very difficult exam, was nearly impossible for me. I gave up my days off to study, but I didn't know if I was making any progress. I felt as if I was groping in the dark, without any response. I was getting tired of living like that. I thought that there was no way I could get into medical school. It became so negative that I lost the courage to enroll at the university. One day, when I was in such a rotten state of mind, I met a former teacher from junior high school who told me that he had heard about me. I was browsing for reference books at a bookstore in a shopping mall on my way home from work when he approached me.
Could it be that you are planning to enroll at the medical school?
I was, but it didn't work out, so I'm thinking of giving up.
I think I really looked desperate at that time. Find my teacher? Oliver said again.
Why don't we have a little chat? Chris?
I nodded in agreement. We moved to a coffee shop where Oliver listened to my story.
I'm sorry to hear about what you've been through.
Oliver sipped his coffee.
Oh, you were such a talented student. I was actually worried when you said that, you won't continue your study by entering high school.
Oliver let out a sigh.
And that stopper man, you used to tell me that you wanted to go to medical school. That's why I couldn't believe when I heard that, you decided to drop out, so...
I told Oliver that I couldn't enter high school because of my family's financial situation. Also, that I still haven't given up on my dream to go to medical school and become a doctor. I told him all about how I was feeling, like giving up, because it was tough to manage time for work and study.
Derek can understand that.
He told me that I shouldn't force myself too hard.
Where you must be feeling very miserable right now, aren't you? Don't blame yourself for not being able to manage your time for both work and study.
I think you're correct about that, sir.
It's not your fault, and I want you to be aware of that. It's very hard to aim for medical school while working at the same time. You should rather praise yourself for trying your best to accomplish your goal.
His words really encouraged me. Oliver is really a brilliant teacher, and I have no doubt about that.
Well then...
He continued his words.
I'll help you with your study.
I was stunned when I heard that from him.
It's easy to fall behind when you try to face it alone. But, other kids have teachers and classmates at school to talk to, but you don't. But you need someone to support you.
Sections then. At Alvin, Oliver started to use his private time to support and encourage me in achieving my goal. His kindness made me very happy, but it also made me wonder. I wonder why he treats me so well. I decided to ask him about it. Often Oliver told me that he had once given up on medical school for financial reasons. That's why he recalled his past self when he saw me facing my current situation. At that time, he thought that giving up was the only option left to him. As he grew older, he learned that there was a better way. But it was too late for him, since there was no way to undo the past. He didn't want me to give up, so he decided to help me. Thanks to his support, I was able to continue my studies without giving up. In the end, I managed to pass the entrance exam for medical school. I was able to enroll at medical school on a scholarship. I studied hard to live up to the expectations of my teachers. I made sure that I would not miss a single lesson and succeeded in updating my medical license. After that, under the influence of a colleague who had helped me while I was still in school, I decided to study abroad at a well-known university in the UK to acquire a high level of medical skills and knowledge. Years later, I returned to the United States and started working at a hospital in San Francisco. Thanks to my hard study, I'm now a well-known and respected person among the surgeons. One day, Joey, a former classmate who used to make fun of me in junior high school, approached me at the hospital. "What the heck is Joey doing here?" Blitzed with a grin on his face. Joey came up to me. "What are you doing here?" he asked me without even greeting me first. Joey said out loudly, "You know what, Jessica? This guy was a classmate of mine." He turned around. Jessica, the nurse, was there. Jessica is well known in the hospital as a beautiful nurse, but her beautiful face was in shock. I stood there in a daze, unable to understand what was going on. At first, all I could understand was that Jessica and Joey were talking when I, who had come to work in casual clothes, bumped into them. "It's been a while, Joey. We went to the same junior high school, right?" "That's right. I took care of you at that time."
That's right. I took care of you at that time.
"I don't think Joe was taking care of me at that time."
I was taking care of him, he says with a snide grin. Then he looked at me as if I were a fool.
"This hospital is not a place for you. You know that. Tell me why." He said that arrogantly. He started talking about the history of this hospital and how great this hospital is.
Oh, there's even an awesome surgeon who just came back from the UK. He boasted as if he were that person. "Hey, Jessica. 7, this hospital is awesome. First size, don't you think so?"
Oh, beams as if to say he were one of them. But I didn't even know that Joe works here. I had no choice but to ask him further questions. "Which department do you work for?" Then he told me loud and proud, "I'm a pharmacist." I must say that he sounded so arrogant.
I won't say anything bad about you, so go home. This hospital's for the best and the brightest. Poor people like you shouldn't be here. O continues. And besides that, then he snorted before he said his next words.
"I thought you said that this place is the best and the brightest." Joe burst out laughing.
And there's no medicine that can cure a poor high school dropout.
Jessica, who was behind me, was about to say something. But when her cell phone suddenly rang, she hurriedly picked up the phone and said to me, "We have an emergency, doctor." She shook off Joe's silly talk. Jessica and I ran to the emergency room and rushed to the patient who had just been brought in. Jessica's face was very pale as she went to the patient first. I tilt my head to take a look at her face. However, Jessica immediately calms down. Then she turns around to face me. "Doctor, please have a look at him." Her voice was calm. That was the first time I saw the patient's face, and I was speechless. My mind went blank, which is something I had never experienced before. Yes, I had been through many things in my life, but I had never been so shocked that I lost my words. It couldn't be helped. That's the patient, with pale skin and a limp, was my former teacher. Eventually, thanks to his support during my junior high school days, I've managed to become a doctor now. I am who I am today because of his kindness. Update Oliver was involved in a hit-and-run accident and is unconscious. He is in a condition where he cannot be saved without emergency surgery. These 3 doctors, including myself, were nominated as primary surgeons at this hospital. I clenched my fist and stood quietly. I would have raised my hand and said that I'll conduct the surgery, but that was not the case. I was the youngest among the 3 surgeons. I wanted to help my former teacher, Oliver, if I could. However, his life was at stake. Again, it would be outrageous to ask my colleagues to choose me as the primary surgeon based on my personal feelings. My grip tightened while I faced this frustrating situation. Jessica wandered into the discussion where the head nurses were deciding on a primary surgeon. Suddenly, everyone's voices became louder. They seemed to be arguing about something. I wonder if everything's all right.
Dr. Chris, please be in charge of the surgery.
One of the head nurses told me. I was surprised, but I have no time to think about the reason why. I readily agreed and immediately began preparing for the surgery. The surgery began, and I took another look at Oliver's condition. His body was severely damaged, and he was losing a huge amount of blood. His heartbeat was weakening, so every second counts. Today's the first time I'm conducting a surgery on someone I can call a family member. I didn't expect that I would be this upset. My hands that was holding the scalpel was shaking. Even though I had practiced so much and performed so many surgeries. Actions, I was as nervous as if I were conducting a surgery on a patient for the first time in my life. I wonder if I shouldn't be the one who conducts this surgery. I shook my head and let go of the negative thoughts I had inside my head. I've successfully performed several difficult surgeries in the past. I should be confident. I'm the one who'll save Oliver's life. I calmed my disturbed mind and took a deep breath. I recall why I became a doctor and those days when I studied one-on-one with Oliver. I am the man I am today because of him. This is the best way to show how grateful I am to him. I move forward. My hands have stopped shaking and my mind is now set. I started the surgery. A few hours later, I let out a small sigh of relief after successfully completing Oliver's surgery. When I announced this outside the operating room, the nurses and other doctors cheered. It was such a difficult operation. While I was resting inside the break room, the Chmi appeared. His face was gloomy and he looked as if he wanted to say something. What's wrong? May, is it true that you are a doctor? I tilt my head in confusion. It's obvious to find out about that from this white coat, stethoscope, and nameplate. Also, my name should be written in the surgeon's list. Yes, I am. How is that possible? A poor man like you can't possibly become a doctor. May's face turned red in frustration. He sounded as if I were lying, but if that were the case, I wouldn't be here. I would have been thrown out of the emergency room immediately. What kind of trick did you use? I feel like an idiot for taking you seriously. But now he started to get angry since he thought that I was making fun of him. I didn't lie, nor made fun of him, and I didn't use any strange tricks. Everyone knows that the society is not so generous that you can become a surgeon just by using the letter of recommendation. Everyone knows that the society is not so generous that you can become a surgeon just by using a letter of recommendation. Then all of a sudden, Jessica came in.
Hold it right there. Joey.
She interrupted. She glared at Joey.
Don't be rude to Chris.
She shouted out loud.
You were just jealous and annoyed by his success. But this man here just saved my father's life. I won't allow you to say terrible things about him.
Jessica said that furiously.
If you dare to say any more, I'll tell the manager about your past pickup acts and so on.
She threw a sharp look at Joey. Joey flinched. Please calm down, will you? I promise I won't bother both of you again. Joey left the place right away. I turned around to Jessica and said, "Thank you." Then I continued, "Did you say that I just saved your father's life?" Jessica nodded in agreement. I was surprised to hear the truth from her.
The man whom you just conducted the surgery on was my father.
I didn't expect that. Oliver has a daughter. I have lost my words.
I was the one who requested for you to conduct the surgery.
She apologized to me. It was Jessica who recommended me as the primary surgeon. She had known about me from her father.
Have a very talented student.
Oliver told Jessica about me in the past. He also mentioned how he's very proud of me. So Jessica knew about my background and decided that I was the one who was capable of saving her father's life. A few days later, I met Oliver, who had regained consciousness. He looked at me and said, "I've grown up to be such a nice guy. I didn't expect to see you here. Chris, I'm possibly a Pushmar student who I'm very proud of." The tears slipped from his eyes as he said that. I was also about to cry because I recalled how kind he was to me in the past. At last, I felt that I was able to return his kindness by saving his life. After that, Jessica and I began to get along well together. Eventually, we developed an intimate relationship with each other. We are planning to get married in the near future. Oliver has given his blessings,
I can't wait to see my grandchildren.
he said cheerfully. The next time I visit Jessica's house, I'm planning to bring some food and drinks Oliver loves. I will continue to live my life without forgetting my gratitude to others and hope for a better future.